Okay, here's what's happened. I thought I was recording when I put this neck together, but I wasn't. And it's also been a day since we were just a second ago here because my camera lost power yesterday. My battery ran out, and I'm not sure what happened, why it ran all the way down, because I usually keep it plugged in. But things happen like that a few times. So I've gotten yesterday, while I was waiting for the battery to charge, I got the neck over to bench 1, well, everything, and I adjust a couple of high frets. They weren't that high, but just to level them. And then I did the 4-0 steel wool. I'm having trouble finding my words. The 4-0 steel wool on them. And then I buffed them with a buffing pad that I bought for my drill. Then I polished the whole neck because there's a lot of poly on the front of this neck. And I think in one of my really old videos, I remember saying that I didn't know it when I got this guitar, but the poly was actually over the top of my frets. And I had to cut it off with an X-Acto knife. That was issue number 1 with my American Strat, as far as that goes. Because after what happened a while, all of a sudden the strings were cutting into the poly, and I'm thinking, what is that stuff on my frets? Turned out it was poly. They sprayed over the top of the frets and just left it. I don't know what kind of hell that is. Now, I've spent some time putting this together. This is all okay as far as it works, but I've taken it to the amp. There is no substantial, well, there is a tiny little bit, but not substantial to match the output of the other pickups, even though this reads 8 point something. I think it's this pot. This pot that I left in there that was a tone pot. When I go to turn the volume down, I lose all the volume in like an eighth of a turn, like that. Just boom, and it's gone. So this is like an inverse, what do we call it? Logarithmic pot. Why they did that, I don't know. This tone pot seems to work okay, but not that. So that pot has to come out. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I've done all the neck adjustments, I've done the saddle adjustments, I've redone the intonation. I'm going to put a new set of strings on this guitar anyway, but I wanted to use these as much as I could to go through all this stuff. And then I was, when I was doing the intonation, I'm thinking, what's catching my arm? And my pearl back pickguard is delaminating. So I can fix that. So I take this off, right? And I'm going, oh, look at that. That's not a big honking block that's in there like you would expect to see on an American-made California guitar at the prices that they charge. It's a bit of a pot metal. There is some slight magnetic property to it, not a lot. And that's only slightly wider than the stuff I get on Chinese guitars. By about a 1/16 of an inch. So imagine that. Now at one time I screwed these springs all the way in to stop it from bouncing around, because I didn't use the screw in tremolo bar, and they have a 2-point floating bridge, and this bridge is got flat screws in it. Flat. Do I have a flat anywhere? It's not exactly level in the front here. And since I don't have the high E string, I'm not going to worry too much about the rest of it at the moment. But then I was thinking, what if I loosen that up a little bit? See what happens. But you know, it kind of works best kind of blocked off like that. I mean, look, there is some bounce to this if you wanted it to, but it's strong enough with these 3 springs to be able to tune it and keep it pinned to the top of the body like that. And it's flat on the back, so that's good. So I am going to put some glue on that. I am going to, and I don't know where it is at the moment, find that original pickguard. Oh yes, it's on the test jig. I'm going to take it off the test jig. I'm going to put it back on this guitar for a while. This will be removed, and I'll work with changing these pots, because I'm not sure what that is. I know that they're both CTS. They're all CTS. And this is the one that has is it that one? Has the 0 on it, so that when you're full up, there's no tone connected to the guitar whatsoever. The volume for the neck in the middle seemed to work okay. So I gotta go back into after that one. All right, so it's going to be a full disassembly again for this guitar and my test jig in order to get that pickguard off and get it on here. So I'm going to go with the other one by putting this back together and then a new set of strings and get it all set up again. But yes, I've gotten bigger blocks on some Donner and Indio guitars than that. Indeed, and they were only what one? One was 120 bucks. Another one was 200 bucks. All right, I'll need to put you guys on hold to go off and do a lot of this stuff, because you don't need to see me do all of that. It's just going to be mundane disassembly and reassembly again until we get to the good parts. Okay, I'm just jumping in here to make a note that before I put this original pickguard on the guitar, I made a small change to the lower tone. Instead of it, working on all of them like it was before, I've moved it so that it only works with the bridge, and then this one only works with the middle and the neck, and there's still a master tone. I've also put in a braided shielded jack wire instead of the pushback wire that was on there. It wasn't pushback wire, this plastic wire that was on there. And then there's my shield ground and my ground for the bridge. So we're gonna flip it over and put her back on there. Maybe I can solder this back here before I do that. Okay, and somewhere here there is a magnet with a whole bunch of screws on it. What did I do with that? I don't know. I'll have to find it. As it turns out, it had jumped up and caught the front of the pickup. I'm pretty sure I don't need this lug in here, but I'm just going to put it anyway. This pickguard is a little bit more flimsy than the pearl that I have. All right, put some screws in that, and we should be ready to go back to bench 1 for strings on the guitar. Okay, it's all buttoned down. And the other thing I did before I put it together was I tried to equalize the height of all these poles on the pickups. Although this one seems to be a hair lower than the rest of those. Did the best I could. There's wax in there, so it's hard to push. Okay, I will also need to retrieve, I guess, the original back cover to match. And we're off to bench 1 to find some strings. Okay, we're back at the amp. New strings. It's set up with the Fender pickguard, and I noticed when I was putting the strings in that I got a little bit of California buffing compound in there. So also common, I guess, for made in USA guitars. Alright, now that I have this back on there and I've done a test, I may be having buyer's regret by taking off my Texas Customs, because now this doesn't sound terrible. I mean, that sounds pretty good, alright? But I'm going to show you something from Audacity, from the recordings I made yesterday to the recording I made now with this bridge pickup on this pickguard compared to yesterday. Give me a second. Put you in that position. Okay, so this is my Fuse software, which you know, I operate my amp with, which is 8 feet away from me, and it's set up this way, you know, 65 deluxe with reverb. I call it 2B, and I've got a little bit of reverb in there and a little bit of delay, and that's all there is. There's nothing else. The bias is set at you know, 0, which is the only other thing that the amplifier will increase that at. I have a built-in noise gate, which is usable sometimes when you need it. But other than that, my gain is 5, 10, treble is 4, 4. The bass is 1 because I don't like the boomy enough stuff, and then there's the reverb, it's 4. So that's the way it's set up. Now, yesterday we recorded this blue trace at the top up here as being the Texas Customs. Then this one became the Fender on the test jig. And you recall in the last clip I said sometimes you get a larger output with a hollow body, and that's exactly what has happened. So this was yesterday, and this is today with those Fender pickups on the Fender body. Solid alder. Alright, so let's play that one. Let's play this one. Now the Fender pickups are distinctly warmer, and if I do this, move track up, the amplitude here on the Texas Customs is a little bit more there, but here at the back end on the D chord, it's larger here. Right? It's a little bit larger there. The middle wah part on the A is about the same. E minor and E. Right? So D, A, A minor, and E. So these two are very close to each other, but the sound is significantly different between the two. I'm going to increase the volume to my speakers so you can hear that better. So on the Texas Customs, there's a lot more mid-range and treble than there is here on the Fender pickups. See, definitely warmer. And that's why I may be having a little bit of buyer's regret. Now, these same pickups, right, yesterday, they sound like this today. But yesterday on the test jig, they sounded like this. Now you see how on the hollow back underbody of the test jig, these sound like they have more mid-range and treble. But today on a solid body, not so much. As I have mentioned in the past, just using different thicknesses of picks, 71, 46, I don't know what this one is. I've got a 51 around here somewhere. A different type of material makes the strings on a guitar and the pickup sound brighter or warmer, and obviously from the recordings you can see that these same pickups with a hollow underbody where the jig is all cut out in the bottom, they sound massive and they sound bright like the Texas Customs that I had on there. Except the Texas Customs, when I recorded that, did not have a direct line of output. They had, through a capacitor filter, everything was going through a capacitor to the output. So that's why I couldn't measure anything with a DC meter, because capacitors don't pass DC, they only pass AC. So when you vibrate the string, that pickup generates an alternating current, which generates a voltage that gets to the output. When they're at rest, nothing. And so now that I've got it all back together and set up with 9/5 to 44 strings on it, which is different. I used to have 10 to 46s on here. You know, I'm regretting that I took my Texas off now, but I think I'm going to leave this on for who knows how long. And another thing I was noticing today when I was restringing it is that this Stratocaster came with only one string tree, and I really have the feeling it could benefit from a second one there. I really feel that. So, you know, way more expensive and you only get one string tree. I checked these tuners, they're 18 to 1. There's a tiny bit of play in one of these, and when you take the strings off, the posts jiggle a tiny little bit. So the gear mechanisms are not tight. And these Fender tuners, here in Canada, they want 90 bucks for a set of those, right? And I could get a set of Music Lilies, 1 to 18s, locking, completely tight, for 50 bucks. So yes, you gotta watch things. You gotta watch things. I was really tempted to get rid of these stamp saddles today. I looked in my stash to see if I had some. I did have some brass with rollers on them that I had bought for a Harley Benton some time back. Take off some stamp saddles. I think it was a black paisley. And yes, and I'm really bummed about that small little block in my American Fender. I really am. And black springs, I've never seen the black springs come in anything before. And you see they've got them lined up, you know, parallel to each other. Not in this Christmas tree that you see on a lot of the stuff that comes in now with the budget guitars. And I usually change them to that anyway when I get them. Alrighty then. I think the saga and the rework of my Stratocaster could be over for a while unless I change my mind. But I just wanted to go over this thing again because when I first got it, like I said, I had not an iota of how to work on guitars when I bought this thing. Nothing. So this is the first time it's really gotten a going over and had, you know, significant work done to it other than, you know, I'd taken that off once before. So it was nice to polish the frets the way I know how to do it now. And I have the tools to fix those, you know, couple that were just a little gnat over. Anywho, I found the back cover to match the front. Still got the protective coating on that. And the one on the back still has the protective coating on it as well. So I think I'm going to leave it on. Because who knows? When my daughter decides that she's going to either hang these on her wall or sell them off, all this will be in the Fender case for somebody to grab. I appreciate all your support and putting up with all my natterings and the like. Catch you in the next one.